I've looked at the line of speakers that you've had and the participation. It's quite extraordinary. With the tweet, "Hello Earth, can you hear me?" came the news that Philae lander and the Rosetta mission was back on track, back to life. But if in fact all men must die, with your scientific work and your research, you are gathered here to make sure that we really live until we do. Unless perhaps the women here are about to announce the scientific discovery that they are exempt. And if that's the case, break it to us very gently. Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell, who closed yesterday's proceedings, once gave us her no-nonsense insight into how she began what would be a dazzling career in science. She said, "I started by failing." It was the 11 plus. But that did not stop her. She made the most of her second chance, going on to study physics, something which, as a girl, she had to be allowed. Later in college, she was the only woman in her physics class, and in a newspaper interview she said, "There was a tradition among the students that when a female walked into a lecture theatre, all the guys stamped and whistled and called and banged the desk. And I faced that for every class I walked into for my last 2 years." But that didn't stop her either. In 1967 at Cambridge, she was part of the team that found that bits of scruff on a radio telescope turned out not to be quasars, but were collapsed stars or pulsars. And the rest is a history of discovery, of awards, and of accolades. In 1974, the Nobel Prize for the discovery of pulsars had gone not to her, but to her supervisor and to her colleagues, both of them men. She was figuring out perhaps a bigger issue, how to combine a career in childminding, working part-time while caring for her young son. But that didn't stop her either. Going on to be the first woman president of the Institute of Physics, she has been a constant champion and a promoter of women in science, so that any culture of sexism, ingrained or otherwise, would not stop them. So, this tiny island in the Atlantic, an emerald speck between Europe and America, a still new republic, now competes in the business and the practice and the profit of international science. Actually, very well, and set to get even better. The work of George Boole, of William Tyndall, of Robert Boyle, of Agnes Clerk suggests that through the centuries, we weren't content to leave our genius at astronomy and physics or mathematics in the stones and the solstice sun at Newgrange. And today, it's that same commitment to research and to science that puts us #1 in the world for research in immunology, #1 in the world for research in animals and in dairy, #3 in the world for nanoscience, #4 for computer science, #6 for material science. We're in the top global 20 for the quality of our research overall. 9 out of 10 global software companies call this country home. 9 out of the 10 top global pharmaceutical companies do likewise, and 10 out of 10 companies born on the internet. So when it comes to the top 20 global medical technologies companies, 15 of them have a home here. Like I say, that wasn't just the look of the Irish. Rather, it's down to the skill and the talent of the people and to the plan adopted by government to develop Ireland's potential, both for the investment and the innovation on the global stage of science and technology. And as you will know, for several years recently, we went through our own economic turmoil. Our financial system on the point of collapse, our economy in free fall, our international reputation in shreds, our hard-working people losing jobs, queuing for social welfare payments. I'm glad to say that that's being turned around. That crisis didn't stop us. In April alone, exports were at an all-time high. As more people get back to work or start their own businesses, unemployment continues to fall month on month, now down by the mid-9s from a high 4 years ago of over 15%. And as a government, we see research and innovation as a key to our continued recovery and to our future success. Consequently, we develop plans for a strategy for science and technology for Ireland and for its people. Equally, I know that you listened to Mark Ferguson and the developing plans through Science Foundation Ireland to target the kind of research and innovation projects that have the capacity to grow and to transform our economy, to attract and to create those all-important jobs, and to do it sustainably and according to international best practice. I'm glad to say that the Action Plan for Jobs which we adopted, which has in fact already achieved the ambitious targets we set for 2016, that the Science Foundation Ireland strategy is working and working very well. As a government, we've allocated €355 million investment into the Science Foundation Ireland agenda for 2020 in its Research Centres programme. And we also look to the longer term. And again, through Science Foundation Ireland, we implement the programme of government called Science Foundation Ireland Discover. And that's all about young people, and especially young women, to take up careers in the sciences, in technology, in engineering and mathematics, which you know we call the STEM careers. And through aspects like Smart Futures, government, industry, education, all collaborate to promote STEM careers through role models, parents, guidance counsellors, teachers. I used to be one myself, and I know that the education system is critical to our future, economically, socially, and culturally. They say that the future of civilization is being written in the classrooms. I recall Maya Angelou's words of her mother saying that she should reject ignorance but understand illiteracy, and that out there are many people who have never had the opportunity, but who are as intelligent, if not more intelligent, than professors in universities, if they get the chance. So to become the innovation nation, science and technology are key. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg did not have a tech background, but they applied their thought, their imagination, their leadership to this area, and they changed the way that we interact and the way that we communicate in our lives. Here at home, we just have to look at the BT Young Scientist exhibition, now running for over 50 years, and Sci-Fest, to see that there is a growing passion and interest for science, not just in our classrooms, but through the exhibitioners, their friends, their families. Local enterprise goes deep into the community. Major company here last week, I went to visit them, had 50 young Coder Dojo writers, 6 or 7 years of age. When I asked a 6-year-old, what do you do? He said, I mentor my friends. Mentor me too in that line, I have to say. And I believe it is the socialization of science, this democratization of science, this idea of science as a living, exciting, mind-bending thing that has so much to do with us, that's where it is for us in education and for the economy. And this is where it's at in terms of mentoring, advising, industry support, and partnering, and so on. And this is what the government want to develop, industry and education, working side by side in the STEM areas. I have the privilege of meeting companies from all over the world. And when they come here, they say it's not just the tax position, not just the technology, not just the track record. It is the talent pool that blows them away, because the flowering minds of young, creative people are changing the frontiers up ahead. So to develop that thinking, that curiosity, that expertise, that experience, that imagination that Einstein said is the greatest force because it envelops the world. I'm a big believer in the potential of gaming to up our own game in education. I believe that compelling game-based learning could reinvigorate STEM teaching and learning at school and motivate students to study STEM subjects. Because with game-based learning, we combine STEM skill and STEM fun, an unbeatable combination to get children's attention, fire their imagination, fuel up their being inspired. So in terms of Ireland's next generation, we're taking a targeted approach to making sure that we have the right skills and the right gender balance in these areas. And I'm pleased to see that the numbers of young ladies taking STEM subjects as second and third level subjects are increasing. Of course, in the STEM areas, role models for our young men and young women are critical. Jocelyn Bell Burnell and other speakers here have made sure to support and promote women in the STEM areas. And I believe that by highlighting the extraordinary work being done by women in the STEM areas, Inspirefest and Silicon Republic have done a truly magnificent job in making sure that we mind that gap, and that by our choices, our policies and our priorities now, we get to close it for good and at the earliest opportunity. If you quote Marie Curie, she said, "Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing at whatever cost must be obtained." I've frequently been questioned, especially by women, of how I could reconcile family life with a scientific career. Well, it has not been easy. Scientific work must not be considered from the point of view of the direct usefulness of it. It must be done for itself, for the beauty of science, and then there is always the chance that a scientific discovery may become like the radium, a benefit. Her words so many years ago. It's up to us, and through our choices, that it will. Anne has given you a great introduction. I'd like to see a situation, depending on the choice of the people, of course, that we can increase the gender balance at government level. There is no reason why it can't be increased from the unprecedented level that it's at after so many years of government in this country. Enjoy your stay in Dublin. Get to understand the personality of our people. There's a sadness in Ireland at the moment because of what's happened in Berkeley in California, but that still won't prevent you from getting an understanding of who we are, what makes us tick, and why you'll want to come back. James Joyce said of the Irish one time, "They lived and loved and laughed and left, and the world was never the same again."